Hey, fight fans, welcome back to Carl Cruz at MMA. Today, we got a special guest for you. My guest is returning to the cage, going down on Sunday. Anthony Pettis, FC number 16, making his return to the organization, taking on Austin Hall. He is the former champ. He is Mr. Cody Linne. Cody, what's going on, my friend? How are we doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. You know, big fight card coming up in Wisconsin this weekend. Some great names on it. Obviously, Choinsky headlining this one. Some great talented rosters. Some great talented guys on it. Some great fighters in attendance. Obviously, for you, you're coming off of a loss. Just recently lost that strap. When you got the opportunity to fight back in there, get a fight right away, get a fight against the top guy, was a no-brainer to accept it.
Yeah, it was a no-brainer. We were planning on fighting again, obviously, pretty soon. It was still about 5 months in between, so I got a couple months to kind of just, take everything in. Wasn't really jumping into it right away, but the plan wasn't really to fight for the belt right away. And then once they said, Roy was going to Ultimate Fighter, he vacated, and then Anthony Pettis and all them asked if I wanted to fight for the belt, and of course, I didn't want to skip the opportunity. I personally felt like I should have taken one more to kind of earn my spot, but everybody was saying, I defended 3 times, I got it, I earned it, so I just jumped on, took the opportunity, didn't want to say no to it.
You've been doing this for quite a while now, man, and you've been really putting up a lot of steam. You've really been making a name for yourself as one of those top guys on the regional circuit. Only 24 years old, and I think one of the reasons why is you're such a well-rounded mixed martial artist, man. I mean, with the hands, you can cause some serious damage. You're very good with your wrestling and your jiu-jitsu. At what time in the point in the career did you really start thinking, hey, if I want to do this, if I want to find the UFC and the big shows, I need to be as well-rounded as possible?
Kind of at the beginning, because I started when I was 12, and I knew, like, I didn't go into the gym like thinking, oh, I just want to do kickboxing or just jiu-jitsu. I knew I wanted to do MMA. That's when it kind of started, evolving a little bit more, getting a little more popular. But I went to the gym initially. I actually wanted to start kickboxing. That's the cool thing, right? Striking. And then actually at the time at Ben's gym, there was no like kids kickboxing class. So then he was like, "You want to do jiu-jitsu instead? Start with that." I was like, I just want to train, so let's do something. So I started doing that. Actually, I fell in love with that first, and then he had kickboxing. Eventually, I started doing that, and then always been working on my wrestling. So it kind of all just fell into place.
It's kind of crazy, but we see where mixed martial arts has evolved from, 15, 20 years ago. It was like the wild, wild west. You didn't have too many feeder promotions like this. And now you have a ton of great options, LFA, Anthony Pettis, CFFC. I mean, there's so many great opportunities. And, I think one thing we're seeing in mixed martial arts now more than ever is how entertainment and personality driven it's become. I think the UFC and the bigger shows are having play a big role in that. I mean, there's guys in all levels who put on facades. They're characters. They put on an image because they know it's going to give them a title shot. It doesn't get them in the UFC. It's going to get them more money. For you, you've always been a guy who's kind of stayed true and humble, grounded to yourself. How do you feel entertainment and personality has affected mixed martial arts?
Yeah, it definitely has. I mean, like you said, we see that all around now. I don't know. To me, it's yeah, sure, it's important. I try and stay on social media and post and be active, and even that's tough for me sometimes because like I just like to train and fight, But obviously, social media and all that is a big part of this too. But it's definitely taking effect, and I do feel like what you're saying, like a lot of people put on this persona that's not really them, like outside the cage, and like for me, I started when I was 12, younger back in the day, and I've like seen the sport grow. Like in the last, like you said, like 15 years, it's grown so much, and I've always been like raised as a martial artist. So it's always been where I've been. I haven't really like tried to put on any kind of persona or like be fake around people or anything. It's who I am, and I let what I do in the cage do the talking more than anything. Now, is that can help me rise as fast as I want to, or as fast as I deserve? Probably not. But again, I just don't feel right to put on this fake, persona to get where I need to be.
You just mentioned something that not a lot of fighters refer themselves to in this day and age, a martial artist. For you, what does it mean to call yourself a martial artist?
It's more the respect and how I represent myself and everybody around me. Like if I'm walking with somebody, I don't want them to feel some type of way like walking with me, as in like I always respect everybody, and I want them to know, like, for example, if I'm walking with me and say my training partners, right? I don't want somebody to look over at me like, oh, I don't like those guys because this, that, and the other. I want them to be like, oh, those are good guys. Even for fighting, whatever it is. Like I want to have that respect, that mutual respect right away, not somebody trying to feel some type of way because something I posted or something I said. It's just being respectful all around and always being in the gym.
Absolutely. So many people watch this sport, and I think we have a new term. It's called the casual fans. And these fans are kind of crazy. You see them at B-dubs. They're usually drunk. They like watching the UFC. They like to yell, twist them, and the you know what. They have all these crazy takes. Overall, what do you think of these type of fans?
I'm still grateful for them, right? Because if we don't have those fans, the sport wouldn't be where it's at. But yeah, I mean, it's a knowledge thing. I think it's just ignorance, like it's all it is, I can't really judge them too much. Sure, it gets annoying sometimes, but you just gotta brush it off. Like I would say this for example, there's things I don't know, like in different sport or different just career in general, not that I'm gonna act like I know something, but it's just they're ignorant to the sport and it is what it is, but we still need the fans to help this sport grow and keep going.
I think that the casuals, they obviously know the big names. They look at the Jorge Masvidals, the McGregors, the Anthony Pettises, and I think they look at it and they're like, wow, look at the fame, the glory, the money. Being a fighter is a wonderful life. Little do they know, man, battling on the regional scene, you're losing money. Guys have that 9-to-5 job. Some are married. Some have kids. Pay to train, wake up early, stay up late, miss birthdays, weddings, Thanksgivings, hardly see your family just for the opportunity to maybe fight in the big shows. You've been doing this for a while, man. You've made a big name for yourself in the regional scene. You've experienced the highs. You've experienced the lows. Why have we kept on doing it?
It's kind of all I know, and like it gives me I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but it just gives me purpose. It makes me feel like I have a purpose. I always think like, oh, I'm after this fight, let me just take a couple weeks off. Let me just do my thing, like live a little, so to speak. But then like after like a week, 2 weeks, it's like, man, like I need something, so like a goal, like just a purpose to keep going, and then on top of that, obviously winning the fight, like getting your hand raised, it's hard to describe, like I can sit here and try and describe it the best I can, but it's a different feeling, there's nothing like it in the world, and I just keep chasing that feeling, and then on top of that, any bonuses as in like obviously it comes with once you make it, you're making money, making a living, but I don't really think about that too much. That's kind of the bonus part. If I can just train full time and just do that and be able to pay all my bills and everything, that's just the bonus. I just want to train and fight and everything else goes where it goes.
You're a fighter out of the Wisconsin area. Train over at Rothwell MMA. Obviously, Big Ben Rothwell, BKFC champion now, had a great career in mixed martial arts and now doing great things in the bare knuckle boxing side of the world. Overall, how did your journey lead you to Rothwell MMA?
Well, I'm from Zion, Illinois, which is about 15 minutes from Kenosha. Um, and like the whole story is like my dad was watching the UFC fights one night. I didn't really know much about it. I was big into WWE, but he was watching them and he just told me, "Come check this out real quick." So I watched with him really quick, and I was like, "This is real," because he was telling me it was real, and I didn't believe him. Obviously, from watching WWE, because like the guys are bleeding, all this stuff, and I was like, "There's no way this is real." And then he kind of just sat down, talked about it, and I was like, "That's something I was interested in." And then what really pushed me was like as a kid, I was really shy and like I didn't have a lot of confidence, and I didn't know how to obviously fight or defend myself, and that like made me so uncomfortable that I wanted to like do something to be able to have that confidence. So then I was like, okay, there's this UFC thing. Again, calling it UFC, didn't know it was MMA. There's this UFC thing, and then me and my dad kind of talked about it, and then we looked up just local gyms, all that. And then we got to Rothwell MMA, and obviously we looked up Ben Rothwell, found out who he was, his credentials, like that's probably the gym we should go to. It's close, has been there. So then we just went and checked it out, and then from 2012 till now, just been with him.
You've had the honor of fighting for some great promotions on the regional scene. Obviously, XFC, LFA, Anthony Pettis. Now, obviously, you got Anthony Pettis from Wisconsin. obviously had a great run in the UFC, one of the greatest to do it, had so many great memorable moments. When it first came out that he was having his own promotion, was it kind of a no-brainer to try to get on with him?
Not necessarily, honestly, because I was still trying to find like my stride, like where we're going, like what's the direction, you know? Like you said, I fought for XFC, LFA, and then obviously we seen and knew that like he was making a show and all that, and like he did his first couple, and I didn't really even think I was gonna fight on his shows, to be honest. And then I'm not sure if he reached out, like his team, or if Ben reached out to them, or how it all happened. But then obviously they asked me to fight for him, and I said yes, and kind of crazy how it fell into place, because like I was fighting for them, and I had I think I was 5-1 pro record at the time, so I had a decent pro record. And then I was like the co-main, or even before that. And then the fights kept falling out, and I kept getting bumped up, bumped up, bumped up, and then I got the main event spot, and then that was versus Dan, and that's when I hit the flying knee, and that kind of blew everything up. And then obviously, from there on, just stay with APFC and just been grinding and using this as my platform.
I was going to bring up that flying knee. I mean, what a great finish for you. After that, you really start seeing the attention, social media. That clip was played all over the place. You really start feeling it after that.
Yeah, it was weird. I kind of just went in there and did what I did, like it's I do that in the gym, and then obviously do it on the platform, like it's a big deal. But it's kind of surreal. I still feel like when I watch it sometimes or see someone repost it, it's like the hype it got is weird to me, like everything behind it. Like I guess I wasn't expecting it to get that much hype, because to me it was just I won the fight, but I did have to realize, like, that's not a very common way to win, is a flying knee, and I gotta, take that and use that to help build me and everything on.
Following that victory, that was enough to get the title shot. Obviously, taking on Dylan Cox was able to pick up a great rear naked choke victory. For you, what was that moment like, winning a title and one of the better regional promotions out there?
Yeah, no, that's probably one of my favorite moments in my career so far. Just because after flying knee, obviously the hype behind it and all that, and then I got to fight 3 rounds, but still get the finish. So I got all that cage experience, and I fought hard. I kept trying to go for the finish the whole fight, and eventually I got the finish, got the belt, and it felt good to have all my friends, family there, and to fight those 3 hard rounds, and then to get the title.
Obviously coming off of the loss to Encheveria, I don't want to harp on it too much, but overall, what were some of the takeaways, man? What are some of the positive takeaways that you think is going to make you stronger from that contest?
I think just the experience. He's obviously a high level striker, high level fighter in general, Um, but I think just the experience, like that was the first time I felt like I really had like a 3 round fight, so to speak, like we was all on the feet striking, and that's what people don't really get to see a lot from me. And I got to show some of it, but at the same time, I feel like there's a lot more, and I've adjusted so much more, and I'm just taking, almost, it's weird to say, but I'm almost taking confidence from that fight, because he was hitting me with some shots, and I was just taking them, and then most of the guys he's fighting, he's knocking out, and I was taking his shots, not necessarily a good thing, but there's still like that positive in the back of your head, like, okay, I can take these shots and keep going forward.
No, absolutely. One thing I really noticed about you, you're taking on tough fights, man. You're fighting guys with winning records. Obviously the last guy got going to go to UFC has a very bright future. For you in this stage of the game, you think it's best that you just continue fighting the highest level possible to get you ready?
Yeah, I mean, I do see some guys fighting like people with losing records, or like, close to like even records, and like that's necessary. Like that's a definitely necessary step. But I feel like in my career now, I need to take these tougher fights. Especially trying to get to UFC. I want to test myself, and like when I look at my record, when Dana White, Sean Shelby, whoever looks at my record, I want them to see like I'm taking these fights. I'm testing myself. I'm not just, so to speak, fighting cans. I want them to see that I'm putting in this effort, and I'm really just trying to evolve. Like I'm 24, I got time, but I don't want to stay here too long. But I definitely want to make sure I'm ready for when we do make that step. Because a lot of people fight, guys they know they can beat, and then they get to UFC, and then the level just jumps up. I don't want to try and make that gap as small as possible.
So as we talked about earlier, take on Austin Hall next for that vacant strap. Overall, what do you think of Austin as an opponent?
Good. He's pretty well rounded, I'd say. Obviously he's a black belt. He has good wrestling. He's always evolving his striking. Yeah, I think it's a good matchup. Obviously both of us are grapplers. I do feel like my striking is a little more dynamic than his, little more clean, I'll say. But again, we're both grapplers. You got good wrestling. I think it's a really good matchup, especially last minute. I'm excited for this one. I think it's another good test, undefeated. He has some hype behind him, so it'd be good to take him out and keep moving forward.
Absolutely. He's got a lot of hype behind him. 4-0 guy who looks like he's about to do really big things here. You're a 9-1 fighter. You get a win here, you're going to be 10-1. 9-2 fighter. If you get a win here, you're going to be 10-1. Overall, there's a show in the summer. It's called the Dana White Contender Series. Obviously, we have business to think of first, but we'll be lying if we're not thinking a win maybe gets us there.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. Obviously, like you said, my priority right now is Austin Hall. He's can't take him lightly. He's really good, so I gotta focus on him first. But on the drawing board, kind of the game plan was to get 2 wins. Kind of just get that momentum back. Get this win, one more, get the momentum back, and then yeah, I mean, if the contender series is an option at that point, and we feel like we're ready, then we'll do it. But again, focus on right now, and I want to make sure I have enough fights. I'm not rushing anything, so just one fight at a time at this point.
You have experience factor in here. You've had more competitions. You've maybe fought some higher level opponents than he has. You think that goes towards your advantage?
I believe so. Honestly, I think it's the first time I'm fighting someone younger than me, and it's kind of weird being on this side for me because it's like usually I'm the one that everybody's saying oh, they have more experience, they're older, this and that, and now I'm kind of the one that's the veteran, so to speak, more experienced, older. So yeah, I definitely think it does take a factor. Some people think it doesn't, but I really think the more time in the cage, the higher level opponents, you being in the lights, I it does affect your performance, and you just get more comfortable in the cage, honestly. It's not huge gaps, but the more you fight, the more high level competition, the more time, you just get more comfortable in there. And I think that will play a factor.
You're at a point now where guys are looking up to you, man. I'm sure you're getting messages on Instagram and social media, guys, trying to get to where you are and looking at you as an inspiration. What's it like to, adapt into that figure?
Yeah, it's still weird to me, honestly. I do have people hit me up sometimes, either asking for advice, to train, or a lot of people just kind of messaging and motivating me, oh, I look up to you, which is a big deal because for someone to go out of their way and reach out and send that message, it means a lot, it's not easy for anybody to do. So definitely it's motivating, humbling, but it's weird because you have all these visions in this game plan of where your career is going to be and this and that. And I never really had that in the game plan, it was fighting, winning the belts, getting to UFC, winning the belt, it was kind of the side stuff. I didn't think oh, I got to deal with, these people messaging me and all this, which again, it's humbling. I'm grateful. And every time I try and be as humble as I can in my response because it really does mean a lot and helps motivate me.
For you, what's the ultimate goal?
Right now, winning this fight right on Sunday, but the ultimate goal is UFC gold. I feel like if you're not in this sport at this point, and that's not your end goal, then you probably shouldn't be in the sport. It's tough. It's a hard sport. You have to strive to be the best. If you're kind of just here to be here, it's not going to be good. A lot of people see it as sport, yes, but when you get in there, there's serious consequences. You can get hurt. So if your mind's not fully focusing into it, then it's not going to be a good day for you.
Mixed martial arts definitely very mainstream and very culturally accepted now, but there's a lot of people I don't think fully understand it. And, I think the casual thing they look at and they're like, okay, this is a guy who's going out there, he's training, he's going out there to fight another guy. But to me, man, I look at this different, man. I feel like fighters, they're fighting for freedom. They're fighting for financial freedom. They're fighting to be able to live a life that's not a 9 to 5 clock in and clock out against complacency and kind of live life on your terms. For you, is that kind of path to battle here?
Oh yeah, for sure. So I feel like I got set up pretty well because I train, but my job, so to speak, is teaching, right? So I coach, I do private lessons, things like that, which is still I'm grateful for it because like I get to kind of make my own schedule in a way, and obviously I'm always in the gym, right? So whether I'm training or teaching, I'm still involved in martial arts, which I'd rather be doing that than working somewhere else. But it still does take a lot of your time. You still got to work schedule hours, because I really wake up, I eat, I train, I teach, I train, I teach. It's like it's always something. I'm usually 8 to 9 every day, just 12, 13 hours straight, either training, teaching, eating, whatever it is. So it does become a lot. So like if I can just train and not teach, that'll clear up a lot of hours for me to focus more on, recovery and everything else I need to focus on to really just make sure I'm competing at the highest level I can. But yeah, I'm doing the best of what I have right now, and I'm grateful because Ben really does take care of me and helps me out. Um, but yeah, I don't want to work no 9 to 5. That's for sure. Like I worked at Dunkin' Donuts when I was younger for a little bit, and it was like, yeah, this is not it for sure.
I think a big thing of being around a guy like Ben, obviously, you're going to brush up on your skills. Obviously, he knows about mixed martial arts. He's a champion. Guy been doing it for so long. But I think what Ben also brings to the table is he understands that business side of things, man. How to conduct yourself, how to act, how to maybe pick different managers, how to go by talking to promoters. Do you feel that's something you also benefit from being with a guy like that?
100%. He's taught me so much. Just like if people see me as a fighter and see him as a coach, but he's so much more, right? He takes such good care of me, as in like if I need something or I'm struggling with something, like I know I can go to him. But yeah, like management wise and all that, and like just knowing the business aspect, he's taught me so much, and like he keeps teaching me, all the time, but he kind of takes that over too for me, as in like he knows. So if somebody hits me up and I'm like, I'm not sure or whatever it is, I just send it to him and he either talks to them and kind of figures out what they really want, because everybody has their intentions, or he just tells me straight up, like, this is the guy's intentions. Like I said already, if you want to talk to him, you can, but I know this is what they want. And we play that game, because being a promoter, being a fighter, like you kind of got to be greedy, but you got to find that balance at the same time because if you're too greedy, then it's like you're not going to get your fights or you're not going to get the fighter you want if they're promoter. So he's taught me so much and continues to, and I know I can rely on him and I trust him.
Do you feel that fighting is more mental than it is physical?
Yeah, honestly, to a point, it's like, so the physical aspect obviously is the training and getting ready and all that, but the mental aspect, for me at least, I get my confidence and everything from training. So they kind of combined. Um, but yeah, like right now, I weigh in tomorrow. We're going through a weight cut, and then fight night's actual fight. You could do everything 100% correct, leading up to the fight, everything all the way to the walkout, and then you get in there and just mentally you're just not there, and that could be the fight. So it's like you gotta really focus on your mental strength and everything throughout the beginning to the end, because again everything could be going perfect, so to speak, and then you get in there and just mentally you're not there.
I personally believe that everyone should engage in some sort of mixed martial arts. Not everyone maybe compete, not everyone fight, but I think the values, and I think that's something that's been lost in this entertainment era of mixed martial arts. Martial arts, honestly, loyal, it's respect. And I feel like, you learn so much about yourself from able to test yourself with other individuals. For you, what do you think? How do you think you've evolved? Do you think you've grown? Do you think you've turned into the person you are because of martial arts?
100%. Like I grew up around it, and ever since I was like, I was 12, like when I started. I was always shy, like I said. I didn't really talk to anybody. And the only reason I actually started like opening up is because Ben was like, all right, you're gonna help me teach this class, and like obviously I gotta talk. I can't just stand there and look at them and expect them to know what to do. So then I started like assisting like the kids classes and kind of evolved from there. I started talking, but yeah, I think just growing up in that environment, especially with like a good coach, a good person like Ben, and then obviously my parents and everybody around me just helping me evolve into the person I am. But martial arts obviously taught me that respect. I feel like I was already quiet and kind of to myself, and I just sat back and like evaluate everything around me and everybody around me, and just that's kind of where I got everything from, and just you just gotta be humble and respectful and just keep growing and working on yourself instead of judging people and all this. Just keep moving forward and focus on yourself and become better, and if you can help people along the way, then that's what you should do.
Awesome. All right, Cody, last question for you, my friend. In a perfect world, what is the outcome on Sunday when you take on Austin Hall for that vacant Anthony Pettis Bank Championship belt?
Honestly, I want to go. I want to fight a couple rounds. I want to get a little more experience in there. I like sure, first round finish. People say you get paid the same, right? But I'm looking for that experience. I want to be in there for a little bit. So a second round finish, something like that, for me would be good. Honestly, I'm pretty confident anywhere this fight goes. So any kind of finish in the late second round, I'll be happy with.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Cody, man, it means a lot. Thank you so much. I know you have a lot better things to do right now, like focusing on a weight cut for this huge championship fight. But thank you for saying some time to talk to me, and very excited to see you get back in the cage.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely. That's it for us now. I'm Carl Pruzai. He is Mr. Cody Linne. You can watch him on Sunday, APFC 16, taking on Austin Hall, trying to get that belt back. Take it easy, fight fans.